Okay, so this is just an introduction lesson to how to use Zaption and how to watch a video lesson. This is for in case I'm ever gone and if I'm sick a day or something like that. That way you know what to do so you can kind of catch up on a lesson while I'm gone. Or if I know I'm going to be gone ahead of time, because sometimes my kids are sick and I can throw these together the night before if I know it's early enough. So, section 2.2, let's pretend like we've never done it before. Adding integers. The first thing you'll notice is if you're trying to watch one of these and you go, ugh, I don't want to listen to Mr. Moyer, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. You can't fast forward in the video. So I apologize for those of you, especially for this one here, because you know what you're doing. But when we do this, like if I'm, like I said, if I'm gone a day and I know I'm going to be gone, I'll put one of these together so you can at least get through something in class. You're going to have to sit and listen to me the whole time. So yeah, that's the first thing. So I'll let him start off videos when I do it like this with kind of going through, hey, what have we done before? Oh, we've talked about adding integers using algebra tiles, which we didn't do, but let's pretend we did. And then you'll add two integers together, and then we'll talk about adding more than two integers. And then I'll just kind of jump into the lesson, and I'll say, what does it mean to add integers? Well, then I jump off the page and go over something like this we talked about in class. Okay, remember, what it means to add integers is to move along a number line. Okay, so here's 0 in the middle. Okay, to the right are the positive numbers, to the left are the negative numbers. So if I say something like adding -3 plus 2, what that means is first go 3 to the left, and then go 2 to the right, because it's a positive 2, because this is really -3 plus a positive 2. So 3 left, 2 right, takes it back here to -1. And what that wants to know is where would I end up at? -1. Okay. Now, what we've talked about in class then is, oh yeah, I forgot. If it's more negative than it is positive, which we then get into the absolute value business, it's going to be negative. If it's more positive than it is negative, so -3 plus positive 2, sorry, positive 3 plus -2. Okay, so I go 3 to the right, then back 2 left. Oh, it stays at +1. And then we talked about later on that, hey, if they're the exact same signs and same or opposite signs, same values, they cancel off. But the big key is bigger absolute value tells you which direction you're going. Okay. So then right now, what'll happen in the video is, once I kind of talk through that, you get your first question, and then what you do at the end of that question is you answer it, and then, go on. And if you didn't know the answers, you'll go back, you can scroll through, listen, and I can explain it again. Okay, so we're back now. So, first problem then. It depends when the lesson house works, but I'm just pulling up an old one. Sometimes I might have this question pop up instantly and then you have to answer it. Sometimes I might have this where I kind of go through it first and then you give me the answer. And all these are just ways to kind of make sure for me that you're paying attention, but also to give you a chance to work through the problem and get some instant feedback. So again, a lot of it just depends upon what the section is. So, again, I know we've already added these together before, so this isn't anything new, but let's imagine for a moment it is. Okay, so we got to find the sum of -2 and -4. Okay. Well, how do I go about doing that? Well, it's -2 plus -4. Okay, so what that means is 2 left, 4 left. Okay, and since they're both left, that means it's going to stay left. So 6 left, which is then -6. Okay, our process walking through this to find the sums of these were, okay, take -2 plus -4, take their they're both the same sign, so it means we're going to stay the same direction. And then just take the absolute values of -2 and -4, which is 2 plus 4, which is 6, and then no O is left, so -6. Okay. All right. Then what you could also see is if I wanted to ask you another question about how to do this, it would just go pop up, ask you to find a sum real quick like it's going to do on the next video or the next slide here whenever I get done with this one. Okay, so here we are, we're back. We're finding a sum now of different signed numbers. So we've got 7 plus -11. Okay, again. So again, I know this is all review, but just to kind of get used to the process. Okay, 7 plus -11. So imagine Mr. Moyer is teaching you this for the first time. So now we have opposite signs that we're adding together. Okay, well, if they're opposite signs, what that means for us then is they're going to be either positive or negative. So what we have to do is look at the absolute value of the two numbers. So the absolute value of -11 is 11. The absolute value of +7 is 7. Oops, larger absolute value, so we're going to keep its sign in the end when we do our addition. And then the key is realizing, hey, they're just going opposite directions, so if it's 7 plus negative 11, that means it's got to be 11 minus 7 to the difference in the directions, which is 4, so negative 4 is our sum. Okay. So now, in the video, here's another sum to try, negative 2 plus 9. So you'll go through and you'll solve this one yourself and just tell me how, you'll write out your answer on this, on the problem, on the paper, and then tell me what you got. Let's look at another one then, adding 3-digit and 4-digit numbers. Okay, so let's say I have two numbers like this. Oops, wrong button. Negative 512 plus 673. Okay. All right, so negative 512 plus 673. So the first thing we'd have to do is do the absolute value for both of those. So negative 512 is 512. Absolute value of 673 is 673. So our values then, 512 is smaller than 673. 673 is positive. That means we must have a positive sum in the end. And now what you do is you find the difference of the two numbers to figure out what the sum would be. So 673 minus 512, 161, so positive 161. Okay. So the next thing that's going to pop up for you on this video is a sum to find of two, I think 4-digit numbers is what I'll probably do, and then yeah, we'll talk. And then maybe I'll throw at you, okay, after that problem, maybe I'll throw at you a word problem. On February 1st, the temperature at dawn was negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. By noon, it had risen 19 degrees. What was the temperature at noon? Now, usually when you're doing these kind of things for me, it'll be twofold. One, you'll have to fill out notes on the sheet of paper instead of just taking them yourselves. And then two, you'll be answering all these questions. Now, since we've already done this lesson, I'm not going to make you recopy these notes down again. But a lot of times you'd have to fill out notes. So don't worry about copying the actual like weather, blah, blah, blah stuff down. But do copy down your work because you need to be used to copying that. So part of the reason I say that now is I haven't really been explicit about this. Pause me if you need to. You can always jump back. You just can't jump forward with Zaption. So you can always rewind, you can always pause, you can always sit there and take a second. But what you can't do in this program is you can't move forward. Okay. So anyway, on the problem, hopefully it's a pretty easy problem for you to sort out. What we're going to do on this one is we start off at negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we're going to add to it 19 degrees. Well, negative 22 has an absolute value of 22. 19 has an absolute value of 19. So negative 22 has got the larger absolute value, so that's the sign we're going to keep. So we know it's going to be negative. And now really the question is, what's 22 minus 19? Well, it's 3. So it's negative 3. Then it'd be degrees, so it'll make this look fancy. Fahrenheit. There we go. Okay. And now a lot of times what I'll do then is, oh, I'm sorry, we have two more things to do here. I forgot. I was thinking I thought I was done. So opposites. Okay. Opposites are two numbers with the same absolute value or distance from 0 with opposite signs, with different signs. We call them that because they sit on the opposite sides of the number line. And we talked about additive inverse properties. That was like 3 plus negative 3, which is 0. So the additive inverse is two numbers whose sum to 0. Or another way to say it is a plus negative a equals 0. And opposites, opposites our additive inverses. And now we're starting to run a little longer than I want to with this, so we're going to stop and pretend like I'm done with the lesson for now, and I would throw you homework, and maybe a prompt for homework, or have a worksheet for you to work on for the rest of the hour. I'll have like a summative question at the end of the video, like let's pretend this one here is this, there'll be two questions that'll pop up. One is what numbers were opposites? In the example. And then two will be, what is the sum? Okay. So I figure this is a good enough length for this. So yeah, just for the first time example. So you'll get done, you'll answer your questions, and then, like I said, you'll log out. And once you log out, it'll have kept track of all your answers. I'll see how you did. And then, that's it for the lesson. You'll have homework to work on. Okay, so we'll talk after this.